So we have hit 12 o'clock and I'm keen for us to start the conversation because we've only got half an hour today. My name is Caroline Bowditch, for those of you who don't know me, and I am the CEO, proudly the CEO at Arts Access Victoria, based in South Melbourne, which is on Boon Wurrung land. I wanted to just do some practical housekeeping before I hand over to the fantastic Greg Muir to give us an acknowledgement, but just to say that anybody who is needing to use the brilliant services of Susan, who is our Auslan interpreter today, please make sure that she is pinned, and she'll stay in your kind of as the speaker, as it were, for the whole session. And in the chat section, which you can activate from the bottom of your little screen, Elliot has very generously put in some instructions about how to do that. So from me, welcome. And now I want to hand over to Greg Muir, painter, artist, dancer extraordinaire, to do the acknowledgement. Greg, over to you.
Thank you. I will acknowledge today of the country. I would like to acknowledge that will bring the people of the Kulin Nation that traditional honor of the land with land on which we make today. I would like to pay my respect to the elders past and present and emerging. I would also like to extend my respect to any elders and Aboriginal people who may be present here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. That's brilliant. Greg, obviously stay as long as you can, but feel free also to run away because I know you're hectically doing other things. So, folks, we have gathered today at the generous invitation of Arts Front, who are doing these fabulous little lunches every day. And today the focus really is on the disability community and disabled artists and what is happening within that section of our community at the moment. We are traditionally, the way these sessions run is that we start with a performance or of some sort, and the fantastic Jess Walton is going to be our performer today and start the conversation. And then I'm just going to lead us through some questions. Just really want to acknowledge and start by saying that I am very consciously going to privilege the voices of disabled artists involved in this conversation today, because they are often the ones that are unheard. So I welcome you all to stay and be involved because it's really important we're all here together. Okay, darling. Lovely to see you. Thanks so much.
Bye.
See you soon. Catch up with you. Yeah. So just to kind of put that out there. So Jess, I would love to hand over to you to do your brilliant thing that you do.
Thank you. And just a heads up that a cat or a child may join me at some stage during this session. So I'm joining you from Boon Wurrung land today, and I'm going to read two poems. The first one is called Heartwood. When the tree is big enough, its heart begins to die. The tree goes on conducting sap, storing nutrients, busy not noticing what's happening inside. The heart gets so heavy, dense, durable, providing structural support, holding up under all that life and purpose. The heartwood, it changes. It's just what happens. It's the way the world works. Things get harder as the tree gets big. And the second one is called Rhizomorph. I am no root. I do not hold up the tree. I am an empty vessel. My parallels and I carry nutrients to all the fruiting bodies. We spread poison too. We push through stone, we twist and groan underground, aching to reach rotten hearts and give them the truth. Mature cords twisting like rope, branched tubular filaments, a body of writers, channels all. We hide under the bark of dying trees, wrapping ourselves around them, hugging the world, holding on. So those poems are written as part of the Writability and Publishability Fellowships that I've been doing with Writers Victoria, which is a program for disabled writers.
Thanks, Jess, for those beautiful words. There's lots of Auslan claps going on, and I'm loving seeing that. Jess, I wondered if I could just start by asking you the question that I also extend to other disabled artists that are in amongst us today about how is COVID-19 impacting on you and your life and also your art and your making at the moment?
Yeah. Well, my mental health was really bad just before all of this started. And so I was sort of aware that I wasn't doing too well. And then when news of this came through, I guess the additional stresses, especially financial stress, really didn't help. So I have not been well. So that's made it hard to meet deadlines, to write poetry, to write music, and also to communicate. So when I'm doing really badly, I find it really hard to especially answer the phone. I get a lot of anxiety around that. I find it hard to check voicemail, email, to answer messages or even look at messages. So I just basically kind of retreat from the whole world, which is not helpful when you're an artist who has, a number of events and deadlines coming up. I did have a lot of events cancelled, but some of them have moved to online, which is great. I'm very aware that online is not accessible to everybody. For some of us to watch everything become in some ways so much more accessible when it all seemed too hard to make it accessible before this happened. But I'm also aware that some people think that everything's become accessible now and that an fully online space is not accessible.
So I'm using various mediums I'm putting, I guess it's abstract ideas that I'm putting together. So it's been a huge impact on me, this year, particularly this year, more so than last year. And with the coronavirus now, I've really dug in deep. I'm going okay. I think I'm doing well. And having an interpreter in this situation and also at uni, it really has helped me navigate, through this. So things are going okay. And I just think after the COVID-19 and things get back to normal, things will be quite different and new. So that's it from me. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Shell. That's really brilliant, and thanks for being here. And just to reinforce that, every one of these little lunches, whether it's focused on disabled artists or not, is Auslan interpreted and has captions. So this is a space that you can come every day at 12 o'clock to connect with the arts community in whatever way you need to. So just know that that's happening, and that's because of the brilliant commitment of Feral Arts and Arts Front. So thank you so much to them. I wanted to just move us on to the next kind of thought, which is about, for lots of us in the disability community, this sense of isolation is not unfamiliar. this is how many of us live our lives a lot of the time. So I'm wondering what tips we might have for people, for anyone who's joining us, that where this is quite new for them. And I know that it's a real struggle for lots of people. What are the ways that you thrive in these isolated spaces maybe? How do they work for you? Anyone who wants to jump in, if you can raise your hand, that would be good.
It's just been normal for so long to feel isolated from people that I can't draw a distinction. I can't remember not feeling socially isolated from people ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Matt. Janice also had wanted to add something.
Yes, well, I think in a way it's given me more time to connect with things. Usually there's a lot of activity involved in what I'm doing, and so it's given me a bit of space. I haven't really caught up. I can feel the space coming on. I haven't really caught up with it yet. At the moment, with we're trying to find ways of creating remotely, because we're supposed to be creating a performance season. It was meant to happen in June, but I don't think it's going to happen in June now. So there's a lot of work around trying to change that. We're trying to establish ways of creating remotely. But yeah, dealing with isolation. Well, I guess it really helps me to have a back garden that I can go into. I can relate to nature at least to some degree. And also being able to keep in touch by all of these means, like the one we're using at the moment, and phones and whatnot, is helpful. Especially to keep, well, I mean, I guess a theatre company is a different thing from writing or painting, and it does involve sort of communal effort. And so it's keeping communal effort going in some way or other, and also to try and to motivate people to create at home around their performance work. So we're, at the moment, Yumi and I, Yumi's directing a piece that we're doing at some point. We have been trying to come up with ways that people can work at home on creating what will be part of the performance. This is partially coming from people themselves, what they're interested in and what they've been doing up to now. So that's kind of how we're dealing with it at the moment. It's an ongoing discovery of it. And I feel there might be an opportunity for new things to come out of it that might not have come.
Great. Thanks, Janice. That's really brilliant. Anybody else who wants to share their wisdom about what it is to thrive artistically in this kind of, sometimes in these isolated spaces? Sometimes
Sorry,
it choose.
Caroline.
Yeah.
It's Elliot here from Arts Front.
Hey,
those of us who are joining us on the live stream, if you can refresh your browser, we dropped out of YouTube slightly, so they'll just need to refresh their browser. Hopefully they'll find that out.
Great, thank you.
Caroline, it's Susie on Cassie's phone. Sorry, I forgot who I was.
That's okay. Hi, Susie.
Hi. I just wanted to share that I actually had a huge break-in at my studio about 2 weeks ago, and I'm still cleaning. But the point is, I type of thought, okay, I'm going to slip into semi-retirement. This is maybe meant to happen, but I have been overwhelmed by people connecting with me, reconnecting with me. I actually isolate a lot. I live in the middle of the bush on 330 acres in the middle of the Northern Rivers, so I'm an ageing hippie out there. But I found that people are actually asking me about Zoom and asking me about these platforms because I've been using them a lot, and I've been teaching over these platforms for years overseas. So it's type of reinvigorated me to help and reach out others. And I'm flat out, I've started Chat, Tap and CAC. I'm starting Chat and CAC through the CAC page. I put that out on Facebook this morning and had about 20 people already, some now online in the group who want to do some share sessions. I found that even into doing it with my students and my students with disability, the creativity that is coming through. The other day I just said, go and grab something from the kitchen. We're going to do Sadie the cleaning lady. And it was just such a rage. Everyone was just having so much fun. And what I thought was going to be daunting, how am I going to engage people online with a disability, especially children, to interact with me, has been easy and fun. And I'm now setting tasks, really busy doing that. And I'm actually type of enjoying doing it on a different platform. There you go. That's my rave.
That's brilliant, Suze. And I think there's probably lots of wisdom that you've got in all of the work that you've done and you're doing that would be really beneficial to the broader arts community. Because I think definitely at Arts Access, we are in that process of how do we engage people that are very used to working face to face with us, and aren't necessarily highly technical. So that's something that we're definitely working through. So I might have a conversation with you offline about that.
Yes, and I've actually already given a few webinars about Zoom and how to engage students for the wider dance community through AusDance and through the Commonwealth Society of Teachers of Dance, and I'm quite happy to send you the transcript about those. Even little things about the etiquette and roll call and how to get them all to engage. And it has brought the international community together. I had a session with children in Thailand with disability and children in Australia with disability, and it was so much fun yesterday that I was like, why have I not done this for years ago? So my thing is, I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself like I think a lot of people are. What are we going to be on the other side of this COVID-19? And one thing I can say to everyone is a bit of self-compassion. If you understand that, I'm finally understanding that myself, goes a long way, and love to all. And I'm happy to help with anyone who needs any help and wants to CAC and chat. Love to all.
Thanks, Suze. That's brilliant. I wanted to just take us to our last question, which I feel is probably really pertinent for lots of us in terms of how can mainstream arts organisations, non-disabled artists how can we be ensuring that we're part of whatever's happening and being seen as valuable and valued in that space? So my specific question is, from your perspectives and your wisdom, how can the mainstream arts be best supporting, and not just mainstream arts, but how can the arts community, arts sector be supporting disabled artists as allies at these times? Jess has got her hand up. Sorry, Raf, you've got some weird background, so I can't actually see your face if you're indicating that you want to talk to me. So, yeah. I'm going to start with Jess. Jess, tell me what you reckon.
Just that I don't think there should be any excuse for any organisation to not have their events online as well as in person after this. And I think all of the excuses that we've had about working from home and, accessing things from home, they should just be all gone now. People who don't understand kids being around when meetings are happening or pets being around, I hope all of those sorts of things go away. And in terms of disability, just providing events through multiple modes as a just a normal way of doing things from now on would be great.
So just standard accessible practice.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Good. Other thoughts? Other people that want to launch in? Melody. Can you unmute yourself, Melody, or I can read a comment? Yeah, great.
I had a thought. It's not specifically around disability and around the mainstream. It's more about accessibility for everybody around venues.
Yeah.
And I sort of had a kind of an idea around, you know, having, if the stage 2 restrictions come back into play, I wonder if it would be possible to have like small solo performances or small ensembles playing with the idea of like distancing, you know, having themed sort of things like around that. I know it's got really nothing to do with it, but I think, you know, it's good to kind of start thinking about ways that we can start accessing venues in creative ways, I guess, so that we can all kind of still have some platform to work out of, like a space to work out it, even if it's live streaming through those venues with no live audiences. Anyway, so
Thanks, Melody.
sorry about that.
Not at all. That's great. Thank you.
No worries.
Heidi, can I bring you in?
Can you hear me? I can't
Yep.
see anything on screen.
Yep, can hear you definitely.
Yeah, thanks. So I haven't had a single email from any arts organisation I've been working with over the last couple of years to ask how they can reach people with mental illness. So I'm disappointed. You know, I've been working with these organisations up to the last minute that everything crashed, and then everything went quiet. So they're obviously not interested, or they think they've learnt enough to get through COVID stay home period without asking communities who are different to what they're thinking they're working with.
Thanks, Heidi. That's a really important point. And you have just launched an amazing program, and all the work that you're doing. Yeah, that's not good. And I think there's a conversation to be had in that as well. Thank you for letting us know that that's not happening. Something that needs to be addressed. Thanks, Heidi. Any last comments in the last couple of minutes before we need to finish up? I'm just trying to flick through all these beautiful faces because there's so many of you.
I think Riona had a question.
Great. Let's go to Riona.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Hi, everyone. My name's Riona. It's the first time that I've actually joined this group. I've been listening to this conversation, which is great. My big question is, it's food for thought, I think, down the track. So if we're educating arts organisations about access without any, you know, funding available for interpreters, I mean, that is one barrier that we're faced with. We need access to interpreters everywhere we are. And when I'm associating myself with hearing organisations or programs and I want to watch a performance, then I don't access interpreters. So I include my NDIS to cover that. But I'm just thinking, not just me, I have access to the NDIS, but what about other people that don't have access to it? So it's just made me think, you know, how can we find ourselves around that issue? What can we do? It's just food for thought, you know, because of the time that we have, we've run out. Food for thought and maybe a discussion that we can have. I'm happy for people to email me, or maybe on Deaf Arts New South Wales, you can send me a message. I'm there, and I really do welcome any of your thoughts, any good solutions. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Riona. I've been getting lots of messages from people saying there's not enough time, and I absolutely agree. But I wanted to reassure people that the agreement that Arts Front and that we've come to is that every Thursday, as long as these little lunches are running, every Thursday will be dedicated to issues around deaf and disabled artists. So, and we will try and move that around the state. So this one was hosted by AAV, but I am very much going to work with the other sister organisations to have different people host, and also ensure that whoever hosts is paid for that, and whoever performs is paid for that. And that's very much the commitment from Arts Front as well. Thank you all hugely for joining us to be part of this, the first of many conversations. Yeah, there's so much to be going on with, and we are trying to, it's really important that we, as Heidi pointed out, that we stay connected and that we stay open to the learning, and that we see the expertise that is sitting within deaf and disabled artists around us, and how we can stay connected to that. So thank you all for coming to have a little lunch. I'll see you here next Thursday at 12 o'clock. I'll be here, hosting or not. And if any of you are interested in hosting, maybe get in touch with Arts Front or with me at AAV. Just to say that tomorrow, Frank Panucci from Australia Council will be online talking about what Australia Council are doing in terms of funding at the moment. And obviously the exciting thing for us is that the mentoring program for disabled artists has been reinstated. Thank goodness. And there's also other moves afoot in kind of federal and local settings for disabled artists. So it's a bit of watch this space. There's a lot of wheels turning behind the scenes. So hang in there. Thank you for your patience. Stay connected. Know from the bottom of my heart that you are important and you are crucial and essential to this thriving creative ecosystem. So thanks all for coming, and enjoy the rest of your days, and we'll see you next week, if not before.